Garden. Today we're going to continue learning about Native Americans, and we're going to read a story called Little Bear Goes Hunting. Our first vocabulary word is finally. Finally means last or at the end. So you could say, first Rajim washed his hands, then he peeled a banana, and finally he ate his snack. Though we know with Rajim, usually he would be eating a plum. That's what we normally see you eat, Rajim. Next, we have the word horizon. Horizon is the place off in the distance where the land appears to meet the sky. So like right here, this line would be the horizon. Then we have the word hunting party. A hunting party is a group of people who hunt together. And lastly, we have succulent. So succulent means juicy and tasty. So you could say, these tomatoes look extra succulent. Because they're going to taste so delicious and they're bright, bright, bright red. So we've been learning all about the same Native American tribe. We've been learning about the Lakota Sioux tribe. And we know that this is the world. We know that we have North America and South America. We know that North America is really big and that inside North America is the United States. And the Lakota Sioux lived in this area right here called the Great Plains. Well, we're going to look right here at this chart. We've used charts a lot in math, but we haven't used them very much in reading. So I'm going to walk you through what this means. Over here we have students today, so you, the Lakota Sioux, who we've been reading about, and two other tribes we're going to learn more about. And then it has different categories. It's asking what's their environment, so where they live, what are their clothing, what is their food, and what is their shelter. So for a Center City student, we know their environment is Washington, D.C., clothing, Center City uniform, food, maybe a Lunchable, shelter would be the school. Or it could be, like for me, it would be my apartment. So maybe it would be your apartment or your house. Then the Lakota Sioux's environment are the Great Plains. Their clothing is made out of leather. Their food is buffalo. And their shelters are teepees. We're going to continue to fill this out once we learn more about other tribes. Okay. Do you know what animal you see in this image? That's right, it's the buffalo. Buffalo traveled across the Great Plains in herds or in groups like this. What do you think this herd of buffalo is doing? It looks to me like it's moving around a lot. The buffalo had to move across the plains in search of their food supply, grass. So as the buffalo traveled to find their food supply, the Native Americans who hunted the buffalo had to follow them. So that means this Native American tribe, the Lakota Sioux, had to travel a lot because they were always having to follow the buffalo. Today, you're going to hear more about the Lakota Sioux and about a young Lakota Sioux boy named Little Bear. Make sure you listen carefully to find out more about the Lakota Sioux people and buffalo hunting. Who remembers what this Lakota Sioux home is called? It's a teepee. Little Bear woke up before the sun did. Today was a very important day. Now that Little Bear was 10 years old, he would be allowed to hunt the buffalo. Little Bear was not frightened. He was excited, even though a buffalo can weigh as much as 10 grown men. Little Bear was a Lakota Sioux Indian. He lived on the Great Plains with his family. This area, called a plain, was fairly flat and was filled with grass and buffalo. His home was wherever his family and their group of relatives placed their teepees, and that depended on the buffalo. So where Little Bear and his family lived depended on the buffalo. The buffalo lived on the Great Plains too. However, large herds of buffalo moved from place to place. They moved as they grazed on the wild grasses that grow across this wide stretch of land. Because the buffalo was their main food supply, the Lakota Sioux moved with the herds. The buffalo provided Little Bear's people with fresh meat. The meat could also be dried and turned into pemmican. Pemmican could be stored for later use, especially in the cold winter months. In fact, almost every part of the buffalo had a special use for Little Bear's people. The buffalo provided them with warm fur, its hair was used to make rope, buffalo bones were used to make knives, axes, and hammers. Even toys were made from bones of a buffalo. Buffalo skin was also used to make teepees, clothes, bedding, and moccasins. Making these things was a job for women and girls. When he was younger, Little Bear had watched his grandmother, mother, and sisters while they worked. In using the hide of a buffalo to make clothing, it first had to be stretched and scraped, then it had to be soaked and dried several times, and after that it was pulled and stretched to make it soft. See right here, they're pulling this hide to make it soft. And back there, they're stretching it out. Finally, it was ready to be cut and sewn into the things that Little Bear's people needed. Little Bear's sister had made him his first pair of moccasins, which were made more beautiful with the addition of attractive beads for art. Little Bear dressed quickly and then stepped outside of his family's teepee. The rising sun was now just a faint glimmer on the horizon. Even without the sun, it was already warm. Little Bear looked around. No one else had woken up yet. He was the only one, and this made the day seem even more important. Little Bear sniffed the air the way his grandfather did. He could not smell rain. He could smell the remains of the fires that had burned the night before. Buffalo meat had been cooked on those fires. Little Bear could still taste the succulent meat. Little Bear made his way to where the horses that chased the buffalo grazed. Today he would ride his brother's horse when they went hunting. He would also carry a bow and arrow. His father had crafted his bow and arrow for him, though Little Bear had helped him to shape the arrow tip. Hunting the buffalo was not easy. These animals could run like the wind. It often took several men to take down one buffalo. Little Bear hoped he would be brave. He wanted his father to be proud of him the way he was proud of Little Bear's older brother. Little Bear stroked his brother's horse and whispered to him. He asked the horse to help him catch the buffalo. The horse nuzzled Little Bear as he spoke to him. Little Bear laughed as the horse's mane tickled his nose. Before long, the sun began to rise. Little Bear noticed that other people had woken up and were emerging from their teepees. He saw his mother begin to breathe life back into their fire. She, along with his sisters, would prepare food for the hunting party. Then it would be time to go. Little Bear made his way back up to his teepee. He sat on the ground beside his mother. His mother smiled at him and tousled his hair. That means she went like this to him. You will be a brave buffalo hunter, just like your brother, Little Bear's mother said to him. Little Bear smiled at his mother. He knew she was wise and kind. He loved her very much. Before long, Little Bear was joined by his grandfather, father, and brother. When all the men were gathered around the fire, Little Bear's mother and sister served them buffalo stew. It tasted good. Then it was time to go. The men and boys, including Little Bear, mounted their horses. As they rode out of their village, Little Bear looked back at his mother. She was still standing by the fire. She smiled at him, and then she put her hand on her heart. She is telling me I will be a brave hunter, said Little Bear to himself. With that thought in his mind, Little Bear smiled at his mother, then galloped off to hunt the buffalo for the very first time. Okay, get ready to click on that seesaw link below and to talk about this video with Mr. Malcolm. Great job, kindergarten!